Might have a revamped roster, but it still features LeBron. A report surfaced earlier this week revealing that the Lakers intended to start the King at point guard next season. However, now, LA's new coach Frank Vogel is refuting that idea. He talked yesterday about meeting his team's superstar as well. Take a listen to Vogel.
Yes. What have your interactions been like so far with LeBron James and Anthony Davis?
Very, very positive. It became very clear that, I was going to have the support of my best player in LeBron. Once I took the job, and, since Anthony has come aboard, it's felt the same way. There's no decisions made on our starting lineup. No imminent plan to start LeBron at the point guard spot. A lot of different lineups and combinations have been discussed, but it's really way too early for any of that. He'll be a primary ball handler in our system the same way he has been his entire career, but we're certainly not going to ask him to do anything that he hasn't done his entire career.
He is so talented. He can do so much. But, Shannon, are you surprised by these comments from Victor?
No, I'm not. I mean, what were they going to do? Like, he changed numbers, like he went from 23 to 6, where you're going to change his position. Now, all of a sudden, instead of SF, he's going to be PG, a point guard? No. Skip, LeBron James is going to have the ball in his hand. He's almost an 8 assist a game for a career. So, and he's led his team in assists every year for 16 straight years. I didn't think that was going to change just because they're like, okay, now he's going to be the point guard. No, LeBron James is a small forward. He was going to have the ball in his hand. He's going to bring the ball up court for the most part. And his usage rate will be, he's not a hard nor Russ type usage guy, but that's what he does. He's going to have the ball. And now we got AD. Can you imagine that old high pick and roll with LeBron James and AD? Good luck stopping that. The most unstoppable play. It used to be Magic on the low block to Kareem, but this right here might be the most unstoppable play right now, Skip.
Really?
Old high pick and roll with old A. Brown and the King.
So we're going all-time, all-time?
Don't worry about where we going. We going to the championship. That's where we going.
All right.
Look, we've always understood what LeBron is. He's a great passer at 6'9". Basically, he's more, and he's always been this, Skip. He's always been more Magic Johnson than Michael Jordan. His ability he can score, hence the 27.3, 27.4 career average. But it's the high assist total for that position. Although Magic was a true point guard, LeBron is not a true point guard. But he gives you all the things that a point guard can do. He has great vision, can handle the ball, but he can score. So I was, LeBron James gonna be a point. Stop it. He's not changing position. He's a small forward. He's the greatest small forward to ever live. He's the GOAT. And so when you GOAT, you can do goatish things. Like play all 5 positions, like be a point guard, lead your team in assists for the 17th straight season.
Good. So I watched this interview live, and I had a completely different takeaway than you had because I just about fell out of my chair when he uttered those lines we just saw. Got off to a good start about very, very positive with LeBron so far, and I knew right away that I was going to have the full support of my best player because his best player showed up at his first press conference here in L.A.
That's what we do.
Leaned against the back wall.
Oh, see, there you go.
Well, here I am.
He could have not shown up.
They asked me to come, so I'm just going to stand here against the back wall, and I'm not going to have any expression on my face. I'm not going to clap.
Did you want him on the podium?
Yeah.
Oh, you want him on the podium with him, huh?
With his arm around him. Come on. Bless him. Bless him.
You know what?
Okay, so then we get to the question of the hour. And the question is, there have been lots of reports, including one right here on the air from our Chris Broussard, that LeBron actually would prefer at this stage and age to be the point guard. I don't know if you want to put PG beside his name because PG's kind of bad initials right now because he's the guy next door. He's Jan Cassius, right? With the lean and hungry look, right? Wanting to assassinate you. But the point is, he's always been whatever he wants to be because he deserves to be whatever he wants to be. And so Vogel goes on to say, no, we don't have any imminent plans to make him the point guard. And then he ends up by saying, we're certainly not going to ask him to do something he hasn't done his entire career. That's the line that got me. And I'm like, what? Time out. That is all he's done his entire career. He has always been at his very best, at his greatest, with the ball in his hand, dribbling the ball up the basketball court. It's who he is. It's what he was born to do.
Right.
He is still, to this moment, the best passer in basketball. To your point, he is 6 feet 9 inches tall, and nobody can see over a defense any better than he could going back to Magic Johnson.
Right.
Because Magic was also 6 feet 9 inches
Yeah, he
tall.
has Magic Johnson's vision with Karl Malone's body.
He does. He has a much beefier, stronger body than Magic.
Yeah.
Magic didn't drive the ball to the basket. So he's got dual threat going on because he has the gift of Magic's passing with the freight train capability. So the point is, this was Frank Vogel, to me, digging in and saying, timeout, to Ryan Ruocco, who's asking him the question. I want everybody to understand, I'm the new head coach. He's not the coach. I'm the head coach. And when I decide he will be the point guard, then he will become the point guard. The obvious answer of the moment was, hey, if LeBron tells me he wants to be the point guard, then he's going to be the point guard. Wouldn't that be the obvious right answer at that point?
No, the right answer was say there's no imminent plans for us to play him at that position. Right now, we're going to let LeBron James, in which he said, we're going to let LeBron be LeBron.
Okay, but LeBron has always been LeBron.
Okay, then.
And you should acknowledge that he's always been. He said he'll be a primary ball handler in our system.
Yeah.
Like, you have to blend into our system. You know, we'll let you do some ball handling.
System.
He is the system. And yet, to me, you can't, you're crossing swords with him right away. You're trying to say, because look, all the reports, if you have read the tea leaves correctly, why has Chris Broussard said...
Chris Haynes.
Okay, both Chris's. Both guys contributors to this show.
Yes.
Broussard more than we have Chris Haynes on. But the point is that both of them have indicated, where do you think they got their info from? Both of them are well connected to LeBron's insiders.
Yep.
To his inner circle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is coming from LeBron. He is entering year 17, and it's LeBron's idea. I should segue even more into that role, especially with this team, because now we have some shooters.
Yes.
We had no shooters last year. We had playmakers.
And
right?
He has a guy that he knows on a nightly basis can go get him 27, 28 in AD.
So you bring the ball up the floor, and designation or no, you are the point guard.
Yeah.
And you've really always, when he was at his, what I always tell you, the greatest 3-game stretch of his career were games 1, 2, and 3 of 2015 finals. No Kevin Love going into game 1, lost Kyrie in overtime of game 1, and what did he do? He just put that whole show on his back and said, watch this. He dribbled the ball up the floor, and he controlled the tempo like crazy.
He almost averaged 14 assists in that series.
It was unbelievable. And he had them down 2-1 in going into game 4, which was in his house. Okay, that is highly impressive. I wish he had closed the deal, and then you might have a real case of GOAT if he had closed that deal. You might have a legitimate case. You have no case.
Oh, so you say I have an illegitimate.
You have an
case.
Illegitimate. It's completely illegitimate. Nobody thinks that but you, and that's okay. You and LeBron and maybe Maverick, and I don't, you know what? I don't even think Maverick.
No, don't do that.
Whatever. Who knows? But here's the point. Back to Frank Vogel. Just remember, where did he come from? He tried to play basketball at a D3 school. Then he gave that up and transferred to Kentucky, where he was Pitino's student manager. Okay, this is his background. And then Pitino fell in love with him because he's a hard worker and a good guy and great to have around. And he took him with him to Boston with Celtics to be the video coordinator for 5 years. So he paid his dues and then finally got an assistant's job out of becoming the video coordinator of the Boston Celtics because Pitino loved him.
Right.
That's the guy who's now coaching the player with the highest IQ to me in the history of basketball, LeBron James. Highest IQ. You better be careful with that because you don't have the credentials to make big, broad, sweeping declarations.
I mean, most coaches start at the lower level. Sean McVay didn't always start out as an offensive coordinator. Sometimes you have to cut your teeth. Look at Coach Belichick. You start out at the lower levels, you work your way up, and then you become that. I'm not going to knock him because of his credentials. I agree with him. I don't think we should put a title and say, well, he's a point guard, he's a this, he's a that. We know he's going to handle the ball. We know he's more than likely going to lead this team in assists, and so we would just leave it at that.
Okay, I just think a battle line has subtly been drawn of, I'm the coach and you're the player. Line. I'm not.
Yep.
I could hear it. I just said to me, I tweeted it. You can go look at my timeline. I said, here we go. Because what happens with LeBron with first-year head coaches? What happened in game number, I think it was 17 of his first go-around or his first year with the Heat?
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, we had to shoot Spoelstra a boat.
Yeah.
We walked out the court. We had to let him know.
And faithfully, that was ominously, that was in Dallas. They were 9-7 at that point, and they were losing that game. They ended up losing by 11, and he shot him a little bow, bumped him out of the way as he's walking back to the bench.
Yeah, let you know.
Little statement that, hey, I'm in charge here, not you.
Yeah.
Because they got off to a rocky start, 9-7, right?
Shot him a little quick.
Yeah.
That's a little quick penicillin.
shot.
Yeah, that's all little quick penicillin right there.
Message, and there's been multiple reports that he then went up to the office of Pat Riley and said, you coach this, right?
Yep.
Come on. Who's this kid?
Right. Skip, I hope it doesn't get to that. Now, we've seen it. What was that? Was it 06 when they Miami fired Stan Van Gundy? Pat Riley came down, and they ended up winning the title. But that doesn't happen very often.
All right.
So hopefully Frank Vogel can hold on to the job at least for a year.
And by the way, that was ominous because the next time LeBron played in Dallas was in the NBA Finals, right? And he suffered his worst meltdown in his career in that finals. I just want to.
Yeah. You always no passing reference.
No,
you always try to highlight that.
Okay, and then we had the fateful Game 4 of the 2015 conference semifinals at Chicago. Remember, they were in trouble in that game. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember.
When he went home to Cleveland, right? Yeah. Okay, and so they're in such trouble. They're down 2-1 to Derrick Rose, right?
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and Jimmy Butler. And what happens at the end of the game? David Blatt dares to say he's calling a play for Kyrie, inbounded by LeBron James. It's 84-all with 1.5 seconds left. And he says, LeBron, you take the ball out, because he's telling him, you're not clutch. You know, I got to get the ball in the clutch. The closer needs to take this shot. Kyrie needs to take this shot. And after the game, LeBron James volunteered, and I have the quotes right here. He volunteered. He wasn't asked about this. He said, to be honest, the play that was drawn up, I scratched it. Whoa. I just told Coach, just give me the ball. We're either going into overtime or I'm going to win it for us. It was that simple. Boom.
That's what we do.
It was that simple that LeBron is going to coach when it's time to coach.
That tells me, closer.
No.
Closer.
That was the rare time LeBron James got mad. What I always tell you about, if LeBron can get mad instead of shaky, because he's always like, ooh, I don't know.
Do you remember Orlando? Game 2? Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah, and then what happened?
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Skip, Skip, the man averaged 38 and 8. Yeah. What you want him to do?
Would they lose like 3 in a row to lose that series?
No, they lost. No. They lost game 1. LeBron hit the game 1 in game 2.
Right?
They won both back home. LeBron won in his building, then they won in game 6.
So he had the rare buzzer beater. It was from 2, not 3, but he made it from the corner because he was mad. I love mad LeBron, because then he forgets to be scared and he just shoots it like he means it.
You remember. Wasn't it 2 years ago he hit that game 1 against Indiana and then hit another against Toronto? Yep. How many buzzer beaters you want the man to hit before you say, you know what, he clutch?
Yeah, in his first 15 years, I think he had 3.
I mean,
yeah, and countless times he ran from the free throw line late in the game.
We don't need free throws. We don't need free throws when we raining them jumpers on you.
Who is the worst late game free throw shooter in NBA history among superstars?
Who is the best last second clutch shot maker?
Oh, stop.
LeBron.
Just stop.
James.
So you know why I feel sorry for this guy? Because I think Frank Vogel's actually a nice guy, but they kept showing in the front row the Laker brain trust, and I'm looking across, and you got Rob Pelinka first. Obviously, he was kind of the 6th man for the Fab Five, but he was Kobe's agent, so he thinks he knows basketball. Then the next guy's Jason Kidd. He's been a head coach. He's a pretty good player, right?
Yes.
And then there's Lionel Hollins. He's been around, been a head coach.
He won a title in Portland.
Yeah, and he was a really good player, right? Not Jason Kidd, but he was pretty good. Yeah. And then there's this guy, Kurt Rambis, he's a pretty good player for a very good team, but he was a head coach a couple times in this league. So those guys are all sitting there critiquing when the regular season starts. Frank Vogel? Really? He's got no shot.
He got a shot.
No, he's got no shot. Sorry.
As long as you got LeBron, you stay on LeBron good side, you'll be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So LeBron, when he needs to really talk to somebody, talk basketball, he's going to go right around Frank Vogel to Jason Kidd, or maybe to Lionel Hollins, right?
You like that.
Well, you do. You know I'm right.
You love drama.
You know I'm right. I'm on the record. You heard it here.